What's up, everybody? Michael Walsh here. So I've got a potentially controversial topic I wanted to get into. It was inspired by MMA Che's recent video about BJJ in MMA and why it doesn't work, the 2025 edition. And the lion's share of that video, he spent talking about up kicks and how the fact that the unified rules disallow kicks to the head of a grounded opponent, how that overwhelmingly hurts bottom players rather than helping them, because it's done in the spirit of helping the person on bottom. It's done to keep soccer kicks and stomps to the head from happening. But the reality is that soccer kicks and stomps to the head are unlikely to happen to you unless you've just already been hurt. Whereas up kicks, you know, if someone's in your guard and you up kick them in the head while they're on their knees, that's an incredibly viable, readily available move that would make the guard twice as effective, and is what a guard player would do in a real fight, because it's even what an untrained person would do in a real fight. Like Che shows that clip of John Danaher talking about why passing guard is so important in a fight, because even an untrained person can just start bicycle kicking you and knock you out with an up kick. And we've seen great up kick knockouts. Just go watch the first fight between Gegard Mousasi and Jacare Souza. Mousasi knocks him out with an up kick. So Che is absolutely right. You would still see soccer kicks, you know, and the fact that you would still see them landed against people who aren't hurt, because there are ways to set them up. There are ways to set up stomps and whatnot. You know, especially if there's like a meaningful skill or athleticism gap. Like there's an old Jose Aldo fight where he's fighting in Brazil, you know, in the regional scene, and he's in some dude's guard and he just like teleports over his guard, does a 180-degree pivot so that he's standing directly over the dude, like facing the top of his head, and just boom, punts him right in the top of the head. So like shit like that'll still happen. But in general, it won't be unless you've been hurt. It won't be unless you've been like dropped with a punch and then they soccer kick you. And that is something there's like reason to not want to see happen, because that could cause actual like unnecessary damage. But you could make rules that would allow the up kick and not allow the soccer kick. Like you could make a rule that says you can only throw kicks to the head of a downed opponent if you are also a downed opponent, you know, for example. But in any case, like why I bring this all up and how this gave me the idea for my own video is that I saw someone in the comment section say how much they hate watching people game the rules, how much they hate watching someone on their knees in someone's open guard just sitting there because they know they can't be kicked in the face. And I feel the exact same way, and it's very similar to the rule against kneeing someone in the head when they're a downed opponent. And how we've all seen people play the hand game where they're putting their hand on the floor. Like, you know, we see the Aljamain Sterling thing where he not only wins a belt via disqualification against Peter Yan because Yan knees him while he's down, but we also see it in like the Henry Cejudo fight where Sterling spends some huge amount of that fight on his knees in the receiving end of a front headlock position and just hangs out there because he knows Cejudo can't knee him in the head. And I agree with the person that left that comment, and it made me kind of realize I would rather see people cheat than see them game the system. Okay? And so what do I mean by that? I would rather see people grabbing gloves, grabbing the fence, grabbing shorts, fucking poking people in the eye, hitting people in the nuts. Like, I'd rather see all of that than see people game the system. And now, I know gaming the system is unavoidable because it is a sport, people will do it. You see it in all combat sports. It's not that different than like Floyd Mayweather standing side on because he knows that you can't hit him in the back. It's not a scoreable target, and the back of the head and the spine and whatnot are illegal to hit. Like, it's not that different than that. And, you know, so in that sense, it's unavoidable. But so is cheating. They're both going to happen, and I'd rather see the one than the other. Okay? Like, I'd rather see John Jones poking everyone in the eye. I'd rather see Mike Chandler fish-hooking Dustin Poirier. I'd rather see Jose Aldo grabbing the fence to stop Chad Mendes from taking him down. I'd rather see Fedor grabbing the ropes to stop every fucking wrestler from taking him down. Like, I'd rather see George St. Pierre grab Mike Bisping's shorts so hard that he like rips his jock strap. Like, I'd rather see all of that than see this fucking shit where people are just hanging out on their knees because they know they can't get hit. Okay? Like, because at least when someone cheats, they're making the fight more realistic, you know? And they're usually doing it to hurt somebody, you know, or gain some obvious advantage. They're not just doing it because, like, hey, I know this is a, you know, yeah, I know this is a game, and that there's a ref right here who will punish you if you actually punish me for this stupid shit I'm doing. It's like when John Jones came out against Vitor Belfort, and he's doing the John Jones like walk on his hands and legs shit, and he's like doing that forever, and Vitor just throws a head kick at him, which doesn't land because Jones like, you know, moves back and gets his hands up, and he looks at the ref, who I think is John McCarthy, and John Jones is like, what the fuck? And the ref kind of just goes, you're playing that game, dude. Even the ref thought it was bullshit. Even the ref liked Vitor Belfort cheating by throwing a head kick against a down opponent more than he liked seeing John game that rule. You know? And you know, and we've like, if you've watched the sport long enough, and if you go back and watch the more limited rules events, or if you watch current organizations like Ryzen that have more limited rules, you just see shit like that happening, and like, I get why there's rules against some of these things, but it's also not the end of the world. Like, just go watch an old Don Fry fight. Watch him grab the fence to stop the takedown. Watch him grab the other guy's shorts. Watch him, like, knee the guy, or elbow the guy in the spine. Like, watch all that shit happen. And, yeah, I get why that stuff's illegal, especially the targets. I get why the back of the head is illegal to hit. I get why the spine's illegal. I get why the eyes and the groin and everything are illegal. But at the same time, it's not the end of the world when it happens, usually. And, you know, and even stuff like grabbing the fence, like, yes, I know you can de-glove your fingers and stuff like that, but usually that doesn't happen. And usually it just makes the fight more realistic. You know, it's kind of like I get pissed off training at most places because most jiu-jitsu gyms and most MMA schools have, like, lame attitudes about stuff like that, where, like, I've been to so many jiu-jitsu gyms where, like, you get the guy pinned up against the padded wall that's part of the training space, and you're in their guard or something, or you're in some side control position, you get them, like, squished up in the corner of the wall, and then they complain and they want to reset in the open. And it's like, why? The fucking wall is part of the training space. It's got a pad on it. I put you there. This is good for me. If this were a real fight, I'd absolutely put you there. If it were an MMA fight, I'd fucking put you there. Like, why should we reset out in the open and help you out? Like, fuck you. Like, why don't you use the wall to get up? Like, you know. And same with, like I get why there's certain rules in jiu-jitsu about what you can grab and what you can use, but, like, it annoys me I can't use my belt to choke people. You know what I mean? Like, shit like that annoys me. And if I saw someone cheat and do that stuff, I would kind of think it's cool. And I would think it was a lot cooler than gaming it, because, you know, if you go in a certain position, a heel hook's illegal because you're in the gi or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's just the same for MMA. Like, there's still stuff I don't like. Like, I don't like John Jones poking every opponent he's ever fought in the eye and never losing a point for it because of favoritism. I don't like that. You know, he's not even being discreet about it. You know, I don't like that. And there's certain things that just should be illegal, like hitting people on the back of the head. Like, that can kill people, that can blind people, that is really dangerous, that should be illegal. But even that gets blurry. It's kind of like the Mike Chandler-Oliveira rematch, where I'm pretty sure Chandler was actually right that he was allowed to hit the way he was hitting, because, and I saw Mighty Mouse talk about this too, I'm pretty sure you are actually told by the ref, like, as long as the surface area of your striking instrument hits legal targets, which basically means touches the ear, because it's that, you know, back of the ear to the edge, you know, it's anywhere from, I mean, the front of the face, but, like, that back of the ear zone all the way up to the mohawk strip in the back is legal. And basically, as long as your hand is touching their ear at any point when you hammer fist them, the ref is going to call that legal, even if your forearm is also connecting with the back of the head. I'm pretty sure that's true, and in which case you can't blame the fighter too much if, like, the ref is going to allow that to happen. But, you know, that should be illegal, and there is cheating that I don't like, but at the same time, like, there's legal stuff I don't like either, you know? Like, while it's scummy, perhaps, to, you know, maybe it was scummy when Chandler hit Oliveira the way he did, I think it was just as scummy and possibly scummier when RoboCop just knocked out Jack Hermanson and walked up to his, like, lifeless body, had plenty of time to see he was out cold, and then just delivers a totally unnecessary, like, Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren and Dan Henderson versus Michael Bisping, style additional shots to this unconscious person just because the ref didn't get there in time. Like, to me, that's legal. That's not cheating, but it's scummy, and it's scummier than almost all the cheating you're ever gonna see. I think, because we've also seen guys because I get it. I get the idea that in the moment you don't always know, because in that same event you saw Topuria knock out Oliveira and land some extra shots, but that happened really quickly. And Oliveira is a guy who will get dropped and will survive and will work off the ground and stuff like that. So there's more of an onus that you gotta really put him out, and that happened. I can see where in the moment Topuria is caught up in it, but with RoboCop you saw that he did it cool, calm, and collected. And so, to me, that is scummier, and so is John poking people in the eye endlessly and not getting called for it. It's goofy that, it's annoying to see that shit happen, but then see Paul Harris and Paul Daly just permanently banned from the UFC because the one guy holds on to submissions late and the other guy punched a guy after a fight, which are scummy things and should be, I'm not saying those should be allowed, but, it's not even like we see any consistency. So, and all this is to say, I like guys who are cheating to make the fight more realistic and to hurt their fucking opponents, including taking steroids. I came up watching the Pride days when everyone was on steroids, and it was great. And I watched Napoleon Bonaparte's video about the history of the lineal heavyweight championship, and he pointed out how USADA just ruined heavyweight, and he's completely right. Remember when we had Uberim and Brock Lesnar and Shane Carwin and roided up Frank Mir and, a prime, ripped Junior Dos Santos, pre-USADA. It was fantastic, and Francis Ngannou was obviously on steroids. He's just getting away with it somehow. What are we doing here? Just let them take their shit. The sport is better. They'll recover better. The fights will be better. It's a brutal sport. Of course they're trying to hurt each other. So what? So what if it makes it easier to knock people out? So what? That's what we're all fucking here for. That's what they're here for. That's what they're here to do to each other. And most of them are doing it. They're just, it's just who gets caught and who doesn't, and who can afford better shit and not. So what? And we're already going to make, unathletic people fight athletes. We're already going to make some poor bastard fight Yoel Romero. So what? Any normal person on steroids is still less dangerous than, an unsteroided Yoel Romero. And Yoel Romero was almost certainly on steroids too, but, a guy like that, guys like Melvin Manhoef, guys like Brock Lesnar, steroid or no, they're just going to be freaks. So, and we're going to make people fight them. So just let everyone take gear. What? Why is the sport so soft? So anyways, again, I would rather see all this shit. I would rather see John Jones poking people, breaking their knees, wrenching their arms. I'd rather, it's like when Robert Whittaker fucked up Darren Till's knee with the kick, and Darren Till was like, yeah, you kind of fucked my knee up. Maybe that's karma because I did that to Wonder Boy. Maybe that move probably should be illegal. And then they mention all that to Rob in the interview, and they're like, oh, did you hear you hurt his leg with that kick? And he's like, oh, really? Ooh, I should throw that kick more. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, I want soccer kicks and shit to come back. It's I much prefer that attitude. Much prefer it. And I'd rather see all of that. I'd rather see, was it MVP or was it, who was the fighter in I think it was an MVP fight, but the fighter in Bellator who won, well, he didn't even win. It became a no contest, but the fight ended because he threw a spinning sidekick to the dude's cup and just obliterated his groin, and the guy was left just weeping on the floor, and the fight was over. And afterwards, the winner was very unapologetic about it. Again, I'm not saying that should be legal. I'm not even saying it's not a little scummy. It's scummy when Paul Harris eye gouges Jake Shields. That's scummy. But in my heart of hearts, and I reckon in the heart of hearts of many a viewer, of many a MMA fan, I'd still rather see that shit than see Sterling on his knees, gloating because Henry Cejudo can't knee him in the face. the MMA equivalent of like a little kid being like, I'm not actually touching you, mom can't yell at me. Yeah, like the equivalent of that. I'd much less rather see than blatant, flagrant cheating and dope abuse.